people who come up to me and say, hey, what are you going to be able to do for me? And I think about that and I say, that's really a problem. It's, in this state, it's not what I'm going to do for you. I think we all have to work together to do something together to make this state, a better place for all of us to live. And I'd like to give you a little bit of background of my history and my education, so you know who I am, who Tony Teora is. I grew up in New Jersey. I lived there in a town called Jackson Township. My dad came from Italy. He came and moved to Brooklyn and then moved to New Jersey, where a lot of our, there's a lot of immigrants that moved to New Jersey in that very similar situation. And I remember, as a kid, my dad would say to me, because he was an immigrant. Immigrants, I think, are some of the hardest working Americans. So everyone's an immigrant in the United States at one point. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. And I think that's what makes America strong. It also, a lot of immigrants, when they first get here, they work really hard. You can see them, as your laborers, your cooks, your chefs. My dad, came to America, and he was a laborer, actually. He did work for golf courses, and then later on said, hey, he wanted to be more than just a laborer at the golf course, and became a golf pro. So, I always talk about opportunity. And for me, my dad instilled in me as a kid, he said, Tony, he said, you can be anything, you can do anything in this great country. And, unfortunately he passed away when I was 8 years old, but I remember that. And I remember him telling me to take care of my mom and my brothers and my sisters, and to always work hard. And I took that very seriously. When you're a young kid and one of your parents are gone, whether it's a divorce or a death like that, it's really a tragedy for a family. But I worked really hard, and I was able to get a scholarship to go to a private school. One of the scholarships that I got was called A Better Chance. Many folks probably don't know what that is, but it's a foundation that tries to help kids to really have a better chance, and I really appreciate that organization. I believe that the current governor of Massachusetts went to that same program, and when I went, I think it was like 1 or 2 kids per state that got the scholarship. So for me, it was a really big deal because they paid something like $25,000 a year for me to go to high school, per year. And I left the public school system to go into the private school system. And I think, getting to education here in a little bit, this is one of the reasons I've been able to be successful. I write, I'm a writer, I'm an engineer. I've worked as an engineer. I currently, work as a data solutions manager at a bank. But I actually do very entrepreneurial work. I build new technology, new systems, which I think, that's, for America, we need innovation. And California is a great place for that. With my engineering degree, I was able to move on and work in the industry, travel overseas, lived in Japan for 10 years. I have consulted to the United States government, both the Navy, the Air Force. I even took a little bit of a stint teaching on ships. It's called the PACE program, a program afloat. You can learn a lot by sitting in the class, and you can also learn even more teaching because you have to really know the material, you get these great questions. So for me, life has been nothing but one big educational experience. So as an assemblyman, I'm really big on education. I think that if you have a great system for education, that you'll have a great society. And we're kind of destroying that right now. And I think that a lot of this is related to tax burdens, the politicians that have been bought and paid for just by lobbyists, which is not in the interest of me and you. It's just the interest of a few select people. I was really lucky to have the education that I got, both at Moses Brown School and Rutgers University. But as I mentioned earlier, I think we all built our luck. And it was because of a lot of hard work that my father, my family instilled in me as a kid, and the people besides my family. I had foster parents for a while, I had my grandparents, people just pushed at me and said, Tony, if you want to achieve something, you've got to go to school, you've got to work hard, you don't want to be sitting out in the fields, like your farmer relatives are out there sweating their butts off working in the fields. And I don't think that's a bad way of living. As a matter of fact, I have a little farm right now, and I enjoy that kind of work. But I do think that the education has helped me get to where I am today.